It's a privilege to have you here. We are coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle in Accra, streaming live on the internet, on Facebook, JoyNews TV, and on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Now, the Bunkrugu Immigration Command in the Northeast region says it has heightened security along the borders following a renewed land violence between two Togolese communities near Ghana's border with Togo. 5 persons have reportedly been shot and injured in the clashes which erupted last week between the Tambo and Nado factions at Naguni, a Togolese community less than 7 kilometers away from the Ghanaian border near Bunkrugu. JoyNews has gathered that although the Togolese security forces have arrived and taken over the troubled community, tension remains as the factions continue to exchange threats. The development, sources indicate, has heightened fears among Ghanaians living along the border who are worried about a spillover. However, immigration officials at the Bunkrugu post said security forces are on high alert and the situation is under control. Correspondent Elias Tanko has more.
According to an eyewitness in Togo, the clashes erupted after members of a rival faction visited the disputed land. The eyewitness said gunshots were fired following a confrontation between the factions and 5 persons were injured and taken to a health post at Yamburi. Here is what the eyewitness narrated to JoyNews.
The commission is called Naguni, and then there is misunderstanding between 2 families, and then because of the land, that 2 families will have one family called Samu and another family called Nando, and that Naguni land is belongs to Samu people, and then they wanted to share with part of Tamu, and then Naguni people, Nando family, just attacked them on Wednesday.
And they fought for 2 days up?
Yeah.
So how many people are injured?
5 people have got and then to Yamburi hospital, and they treated them.
So,
but now the place, the Naguni place, there is Togo community there called Gendarmerie there. They're guarding the place. Gendarmerie there. Yes, it is Ghana border. There is a sea between Ghana and Togo. So when you cross the sea, you take Ghana.
Is it far from Yamburi?
It's not far. Maybe about 50 kilometers.
The 2 tribal families have been laying competing claims over the land, and tension has always been high, especially in the farming season. Some members of the community, including those involved in the conflict, are said to have fled to Ghanaian communities in the Bunkrugu-Napanduri district. And JoyNews has learned that despite the presence of the Togolese army in the community, tension is still high. The district immigration officer Edwin Ajete Doku, who confirmed the violence, said measures had been put in place to deal with any threat along the border.
We are also trying to put measures in place so that this time they will not have their way like they had the last time. Although the unapproved routes are many, we are going to map out strategy so that wherever they pass, we can get them. But for now, I can assure you that it will not, whatever the situation is, it will not come here. I can assure you that one. For now, since it has not even come this far, or it has not escalated here, as I speak with you, for now, there's no problem going on there. I believe they've been able to settle issues, but we must also be cautious or put in place measures that if it happens that this is what is going to happen.
Now let's head to the story that's making news since yesterday. Attorney General Godfrey Dame says he will task the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service to investigate former NDC government ministers and officials for their role in a $170 million Ghana Power Generation Company judgment debt. His comments come after the NDC minority in Parliament accused government of causing financial loss to the state in the matter. In 2018, Ghana terminated a contract for a fast-track power generation solution involving the relocation of 2 aero-derivative gas turbine power plants to Ghana by the company. The deal was signed by the Mahama-led government sometime in 2015. The Attorney General says those involved will be punished. Now, before we hear from him, let me give you more details about the agreement and how it got terminated, resulting in that judgment debt. Head of JoyNews Research Desk, Raymond Akwa, joins me with more. So, Raymond, take us to the genesis of this agreement.
So, you mentioned the 2015 negotiations. So, exactly on June 3, we signed the agreement. It's what we call the emergency purchase agreement. And the idea was that they'll bring some power badges. We will be able to locate them properly. Then we'll proceed to provide the power required. The Parliament ratified this agreement on July 23, 2015. Now, the interesting development from there was that you were supposed to bring the badges. First, they established a place they could bring the badge to, which was at Abuazi.
And where were they bringing it from?
Italy.
Okay.
Abuazi. It didn't happen because we had difficulties with where they were supposed to locate it. Then, government suggested Pone to them. They went to Pone. Government said they are taking more lands that they were supposed to take, so we disagreed on that too. Then finally, Tama was a third arrangement that they themselves went to look for the Blue Oceans Enclave in the Free Zones Enclave. Then finally, that's where we actually agreed that they were going. But it didn't happen. In 2016, there was a committee formed to look at all our power purchase agreements. In 2017, in fact, two things. Whilst the then government, represented by John Jenapo, says that committee he chaired is different in form and agenda from the committee that recommended the termination. But the ruling of the arbitration court said the committee that was formed in 2016 continued to 2017, but only had some members changed. And instead of John Jenapo, according to the arbitration ruling, it was now chaired by EPA boss, Dr. Ahenkra at the time.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Ahenkra's committee in April 2017 recommended some action be taken. One, a negotiation for a termination. Then when we terminate at the time, we're supposed to pay within 18 or 19 million US dollars and 25 million US dollars. Yeah, 24.9, 25 approximately. Then government through the AG went ahead. The advice of the AG was that we should terminate.
And this was the first term of President Akufo-Addo?
Yes.
Okay.
So in 2018, we were advised by the Attorney General at the time that we should terminate. And the Attorney General at the time gave some reasons that was later determined by the arbitration court to be at variance with the reasons the EPA had, not EPA, the committee, the PPA committee had set out for the reasons for the negotiation. And again, one of the things you should note about why that became problematic was that, let me state the reasons why the AG submitted. The reasons were that there was illegality for want of capacity of GPGC to enter into the power purchase agreement. One. Two, there was failure to obtain siting and construction permits. The counter agreement from argument from the GPGC was that no, we did go through that process. We actually went to EPA and got some permits. We're still in the process of securing others because of the different changes that we've gone through. And you government asked them to site elsewhere. So that's why we have not finished that process. Installation of used plant contrary to policy. So that's what government, that's the third reason. The final reason why government sought to terminate this agreement was failure on the part of the seller to fulfill its conditions precedent and conditions subsequent. So all these four put together are the reasons why government submitted for its, what do you call it, cancellation or if like termination of the agreement. Interestingly, at the time that cabinet had approved the termination, there were still some government officials, including Deputy Minister Oreku Edu, who was then in the Energy Ministry, telling the people that he had the confidence of the president to reinstate the agreement. So when the people were not satisfied with the termination, they opposed it at first. They were not satisfied. They went to court. Another interesting part you should know is that the argument of the then Attorney General was that for these 4 reasons I just said to you, if we are going ahead to terminate the EPA, in fact, it will be entitled, that's Ghana, will be entitled to early termination fee. So instead of we pay money to them,
they would have paid us.
Yes, and this was within 2018. But the GPGC went to court. They went to the arbitration. It's part of the agreement in section 28 of the agreement we signed with them, that they can go to arbitration. When they go, we choose the forum, which is in the UK, based on UK arbitration laws, the international arbitration. And let's also settle this. The arbitration laws are clear. We appointed one person, Professor Abefiajo, as in the panel, the 3-member panel. Then they also appoint another person, that's the GPGC, the company that brought the bag. Then the 2 people will appoint somebody to chair, an external person to chair. That was put together nicely, and they came to the conclusion that, 1, the contract itself had problems right from the beginning. 2, the argument of the AG in terminating the contract was not in tune with the premise of the PPA's report.
And the PPA here is
the Power Purchase Agreement Committee we set up to review and advise on what we should do. It states here that it is at variance. The reasons the AG gave for terminating is at variance with that report. Then what he finally did was put together the cost from the beginning to the end and say we are paying the amount of money that you've heard about so far. So in a sum, that's what they say. In fact, they had some tough words for government when it comes to the conduct of the AG. They also had some tough words for how we engage generally and proceeded with. So finally, what he said was that the actual termination was done by the company. We repudiated, and repudiation means you frustrate the performance of a contract. Even though our intention at first was to, what they call it, cancel and negotiate, or terminate and negotiate the way forward. So if you put it all in the sum, that is really what is happening in this.
Raymond, I'll come back to you because we've been picking a lot of reactions on this matter. Let's hear from the Attorney General, Godfred Dame.
It was affected by the then Minister for Energy on the strength of the advice given by the former Attorney General, Madame Gloria Kufu, in 2018. And Madame Gloria Kufu also acted on the basis of the report of a committee set up by the SY Minister for Power in September 2016. And that is what I call the PPA committee.
Fair to say then that your government agreed with the NDC position?
Precisely. The government stuck with the report of the PPA committee set up by the NDC itself in 2016, recommending a termination of the agreement because that agreement, if it had been allowed to run, was going to result in excessive power. And I'm saying that excessive power was not only in relation to that agreement, but many other agreements cumulatively was going to result in a loss of about over $7 billion between 2018 and 2013. And then an amount of $586 million each year was also going to be lost. So I think the issue is not as simple as the NDC people would like to make it sound.
Well, we'll pick a reaction also from the NDC, represented by former Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor. But let me come back to you, Raymond. On the Super Morning Show, you had the Attorney General Godfred Dame and John Jinapor, and there was a bit of back and forth, especially with some of the issues that we heard Mr. Godfred Dame raise in the soundbite we just played.
Yes, first issue that was being disputed was whether or not the committee that was set up in 2016 to review power purchase agreements, because we were in an emergency period and we had just exited the emergency period, so we needed to understand what we've done in the period so that we don't continue with doing the bad things if we did any. That committee, was it a continuation of it that recommended the termination in 2017? The argument from the side of John Jinapor is that I chaired the committee, represented our report, so our job was done by the time we had left office. So there cannot be a thinking that that same committee was the one that recommended it, because I was the chairman of the previous committee.
Okay.
Indeed, when he was asked about, so what did you recommend generally? He said we recommended that there were no, government should not enter into, ECG specifically, should not enter into any further agreement for the purchase of power, and that we had enough, and that we needed the period that we required power. We had enough to deal with that period. Again, Then he was asked specifically on this agreement of GPGC, what did you suggest? And he said, we found nothing wrong with it. That was his final agreement, point on that. On the other side, the argument from the Attorney General is that, no, the committee in 2016, its work continued in 2017. And it's the same committee that gave us a recommendation for termination. That is why we proceeded to terminate. Now, two things. On whether or not the committee's work continued from 2016 to 2017, the matter was settled by the arbitration committee. The arbitration committee indeed insisted that it's the same committee that continued into 2017. It makes some concessions that some members of the committee changed. That's one point that it makes there. However, the arbitration point, and this is evident in paragraph 479, it starts by listing in paragraph 478 the reasons for the termination and proceeded to say that whether or not Dr. Ahenkwah's evidence, and Dr. Ahenkwah is the one who chaired the PPA committee that recommended the termination and negotiation. Now, whether or not Dr. Ahenkwah's evidence to the tribunal was correct, when he testified that none of the information said by the Attorney General to have been elicited on inquiry of the Energy Commission was provided directly by the Commission to the Attorney General. So get it clarified. The man who chaired the committee says none of the things that the Attorney General is saying were directly given to them by us.
Okay, which
because
is
Dr.
the reasons.
Also the chair of the Energy Commission.
Which is the reasons the Attorney General gave.
Very good.
Okay.
Yes, he said we didn't provide directly, and proceeded to say that all correspondence have been between the Commission, Energy Commission, and the Ministry of Energy. It is now the tribunal comes to the definition that it is evident on the record available in this arbitration that the Ministry of Energy, that the premises upon which the Attorney General's advice was founded did not reflect the true facts. So what it basically says here that the reasons I stated to you before, the 4 reasons for which we have gone ahead to terminate this particular deal did not reflect the true facts, which should have informed our decision to terminate the deal. And this is also based on Ahenkwah's evidence that we didn't give the AG the reasons they say they are giving you.
Okay.
Or the reasons they say they are using for the termination.
All right, Raymond. So right now the big issue is who should be held responsible for causing this financial loss to the state. Government thinks that former NDC ministers and officials should be investigated. But there are those, Raymond, who also believe it shouldn't end there. Yeah. We should cross over and investigate officials and representatives of the government that facilitated, if I may, the termination of the contract.
This is one of the arguments coming from the likes of Benjamin Boachu of ASEP. And it's also because the thinking was that a more holistic approach will be a better one. Holistic approach from those who entered into the contract. Did they do it in good faith? Did they have all the information? Was it a contract done to the interest of this country? More or less, you look at this like a relationship between an agent and the principal. Where the people of this country being the principal and its government officials being the agents, they're entitled, they're actually mandated to act in the best interest of the principal. That's the people of this country. The people who entered into the contract do that. Fast forward to the time that we had to terminate the agreement. Mindful of all we know so far, mindful of what the arbitration committee is saying about the reasons for which we terminated the contract, did the officials at the time in the AG's department give the right advice? Did they properly advise the people of this republic on the implications of terminating the contract? Would it have been cheaper to do so? So the argument was that if you are really going to do any proper investigation, it should start from those who terminated, through to those who went into the contract, through to those who terminated. But the AG's direct response was that, well, I will do a holistic one, but it is my personal view that the AG at the time did nothing wrong.
Okay.
Of course, he was deputy. Gloria Akufu was the substantive Attorney General. So he insists that the AG at the time did nothing wrong.
Okay. And we know that the court didn't have kind words for government.
That's true, on that particular basis.
On this particular matter. But a former Deputy Power Minister, John Jinapor, has however charged the Attorney General to broaden the investigation by looking into government's decision to cancel the contract. And you can get more on that when you get onto Joy FM's page on Facebook. He spoke on the Super Morning Show. Thank you so much, Raymond Akwa. He's head of the Joy Research Desk. Let's stay a while on power. And again, former Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor is dismissing claims by government that The NDC government under John Mahama signed too many power agreements and left the country with excess energy capacity. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta told Parliament last week that government between 2017 and 2020 paid AXA Energy, Car Power and Sen Power $937 million for excess energy capacity. Attorney General Godfrey Dami again says the report of a committee set up by the NDC government confirmed availability of excess power, but the former Deputy Power Minister disputes this, insisting the reference is to reserve margins and not excess power.
$170 million is a huge amount if you look at the level of necessities in this country and our financial outlay. I don't think that anybody should commit or take a decision that would get the state to pay a whopping $170 million in judgment debt, and this is judgment debt.
Should the former energy minister be held responsible for this?
I think this whole government should be held responsible, not just the former minister, the whole government. Thank you.
For clarity, was this the contract the NDC administration signed before exiting?
It was signed before we exited, for a 4-year period.
And the justification for it then was what exactly in terms of why the NDC government funding necessary?
Yeah, we needed some power to bolster our energy reliability. We disagree with this so-called excess capacity. We've had a meeting with ECG, we've had a meeting with PRC, and I can state on authority that those figures the ministry is throwing around is nothing but a fallacy. And if you want, we can give you evidence, we can show you from ECG itself. When you discount our dependable capacity and you look at the reserve margin, this so-called excess capacity is nothing but a hoax. It's not true. You can't just discount your capacity in terms of the allowable capacity that you require, which is about 20%. What this government does is that they deliberately discount the 20% and just say that we consumed X amount. That's not what is done in energy economics. It's only people who don't understand that sector who go about it the way they are going about it. You certainly need some reserve. And I'm saying that when you account for that reserve, this so-called excess capacity is nothing but a hoax. We have the opportunity to export power. Government should export that power. Ghana's energy is not the most expensive. It is not true. We are about the 4th cheapest source of energy in the sub-region, and there's documentary evidence that I can adduce to that. And there's demand for capacity in Burkina, there's demand for capacity in Benin, there's demand for capacity in Togo. Let us do what is right by investing in our transmission lines so that we can export power. It's as simple as that.
The finance minister told Parliament just last week that they'd spend more than $927 million paying for excess capacity over the last 4 years, between 2017 and 2020, which some in the energy sector have said that then this probably is not worth it. If for example, we had kept this extra contract running, just maybe...
So we are no more paying 1 billion per annum as they stated. That was what they stated, that they pay 1 billion per annum.
$927 million over a 4-year period is still a substantial sum.
Let them give us the details. I've requested for the details. And if we look at the details, I can tell you that a chunk of that amount is for reserve margins and not excess capacity.
Away from power, scientists say COVID numbers in the country are on the rise again, warning this is likely to even go higher in coming weeks. Dr. John Amosi of the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR, who revealed this, said the numbers are higher, particularly in the Ashanti region. According to him, pre-screening conducted shows the younger population is at more risk. He was speaking on PM Express on the JoyNews channel. Meanwhile, the Ghana Health Service has described as untrue claims that the Sputnik V and AstraZeneca vaccines are not as effective as others against the Delta strain of COVID-19. Head of the West Africa Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACBE, Professor Gordon Awandere, earlier told JoyNews the 2 vaccines are not the most effective against the strains.
We have to be looking at the right vaccines. We all this while we've been, fixed on, AstraZeneca and Sputnik V. We have to start shifting towards looking for, more of Pfizer and others, which have a better chance of protecting against these variants, because the future is these aggressive variants. That's where we are going. The UK strain would probably recede soon it will be replaced by some of these new variants.
With the nature of the virus as we know it, there are new variants coming out every few months. So does that mean that we are going to have to vaccinate ourselves again when, there's another strain in the system that is different from what Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer can fight?
Yes, that's the reality, that this may be similar to the flu, that every year or every few years we have to adjust the vaccine to suit the prevailing strains. And so that's why local manufacturing and vaccine development is important. We need to start making serious progress.
Well, the Ghana Health Service has issued a statement on the matter of our existing vaccines and whether they're able to deal with the new variant. Let me share details of that statement with you. And so this is a reply to COVID-19 deadly India strain detected in Ghana. Sputnik V AstraZeneca vaccines not effective against it. It reads, the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service take note of a publication by myjoyonline.com with the headline COVID-19 deadly Indian strain detected in Ghana. Sputnik V AstraZeneca vaccines not effective against it. And the service hereby informs the general public that all passengers who test positive at the Kotoka International Airport are put under mandatory isolation. 2, all positive samples are sent for further testing, that's genomic sequencing, to identify the variants. 3, variant sequence from samples of positive cases at the airport do not necessarily end up in the community. Finally, on the 4th point, it says, as of now, the country has detected 6 Delta variants of the SARS-CoV-2 from all samples taken between April and June 2021 at the ports of entry. No Delta variant has been detected from samples taken from cases in the community. The MOH and GHS further informed the general public that in April 2021, there was a surge in cases at the airport, during which period 308 positives were identified. However, Ghana has not experienced a third wave, partly due to the robust surveillance system in place. And now, finally, the service would like to urge Ghanaians to take advantage of vaccination when their turn is due, while entreating the general public to adhere to the COVID-19 prevention protocols. That is the wearing of face masks, practicing of hand hygiene and physical distancing as part of the strategies. And this is signed by Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaji. He's Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Let's stay a while on healthcare, but away from COVID. Persons seeking healthcare will no longer have to struggle to get needed drugs they need, or even so, get it at an easy and affordable price. This is because the Christian Health Association of Ghana, CHAG, has established a platform which will ensure medicines for every illness are available for patients in the country. Executive Director of the association, Dr. Maxwell Entry, said this at a launch of a platform which is expected to, among others, check the quality of medicines produced or brought into the country. He believes this will help correct Ghana's ranking as the 6th in the world to produce fake or substandard medicines. Hannah Odami has more in this report.
Ghana's medicine market is fraught with challenges which affect effective healthcare delivery. The fragmented value chain, delays in payment to suppliers, and lack of proper quality control through post-market surveillance all lead to frequent stockouts and high prices of these medicines. The Christian Health Association of Ghana is set to change this practice with a Med for All platform.
Is intended to remove the financing barrier in the procurement, distribution, prescription, and dispensing of medicines to our clients, especially in the hinterlands, in the unreached segments of the society and underserved populations.
CHAG believes treatment failures due to fake and substandard medicines will soon be curtailed in Ghana. Executive Director of CHAG, Dr. Maxwell Entry.
The data on fake medicines globally and in Ghana is overwhelming. Do we know that a study recently conducted in Kintampo showed that 4 out of 10 medicines in that region were either fake or substandard? That our credibility in quality of medicines is so low. Mr. Chair, this provides opportunity to pool forecasting and demand for medicines and negotiate better prices for medicines whilst controlling and tracking quantity, quality in each step of the value chain.
The Med for All platform is readily available for everyone seeking healthcare in Ghana. For JoyNews, I am Hannah Odame.
Now, the overlord of Mamprugu and president of the Northeast Regional House of Chiefs, Nairi Naboagu Mahami Sheriga, has for the second time made an official request to President Akufo-Addo to retool the police service in the region. According to the overlord, the provision of logistics such as vehicles and personnel will help police adequately and effectively fight crime and maintain law and order in the region. The Nairi also appealed to President Akufo-Addo to intervene for the completion of many infrastructure projects which have been delayed or abandoned. Naboaga was speaking at his palace in Nalerugu, where the president paid a courtesy call as part of his two-day working visit to the Northeast region. Ilyasu Tanko has more.
Your Excellency, on security issues, it is undeniable fact that the role of the security personnel to the maintenance of peace and security cannot be overemphasized. The name of the region has always been in the news for bad reasons, such as day and night armed robberies. This is due to inadequate police personnel and vehicles to police this region of a land size of 10,484 square kilometers. The current state of the vehicles leaves much to be desired, since it cannot take them to places like Yagba, Bentere. Your Excellency had also directed the establishment of a military barracks for the region to be situated in Nalerugu. Consequently, vast tracts of land has been allocated for the purpose. Unfortunately, since 2019, some trenches were dug apparently as foundation. The site has been abandoned. Now the proximity of the region to the borders and threats posed by Islamic militants and bandits call for an immediate action on the project.
The request the Mamprugu overload was part of several other pertinent problems said to be affecting the newly created region, for which the king says gave him sleepless nights and wants the president to urgently address.
Your Excellency, our district is fortunate to be endowed with lots of natural resources. One resource we are told is in commercial quantity is the limestone deposit at Bangda, around Bangda. It is my appeal to the government to consider establishing a cement factory under the One District, One Factory initiative. This will help mine the natural resource and turn it into finished product for the use of Ghanaians. In addition to the numerous job opportunities that will be created for the teeming unemployed youth in this area and Ghana at large. Northeast region is appealing to you for the establishment of a satellite branch of the University of Development Studies in order that we can build the human capacity for the region.
In response, President Akufo-Addo first of all expressed his disappointment over the outcome of the 2020 general elections, especially in the two constituencies of Bunkurugu and Nalerugu-Gambaga.
Now, I have to confess that I am, though, disappointed a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, that both Bunkurugu and Nalerugu-Gambaga escaped from our net. Especially since the two important members of my government were our candidates in those two regions.
The president then assured the overlord and the people of the Northeast region of his absolute commitment to ensuring the development of the new region.
Particularly interested in the concept of a one district, one factory initiative as far as the cement factory here is concerned. The one district, one factory initiatives have so far not being state-run activities. We prefer to associate with entrepreneurs and business people who will set them up. And the inquiry is going to be very deep to see whether we can find such people in the Northeast with whom the government can partner to set up the factory in cement that you have alluded to. I've taken note of the request about the power outages and the electricity switching that you want here. As far as the tracts of land for the military and their barracks are concerned, Naleregu is one of the 15 forward operating bases that have been chosen by the military to defend our sovereignty and to provide the first line of defense against the terrorist outrages. So I'm going to launch the construction of these forward operating bases, I believe, in the next month in July. And subsequent to that, you will see very soon activity on the ground for the establishment of the military barracks here in Naleregu.
Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
Now, farms and water sources destroyed by illegal sand winning has contaminated water supplies of residents of Odumachi in the Kwabre South District of the Ashanti region. Farmers are compelled to rely on the polluted water for drinking and farming needs. Money invested in farming is going down the drain as the unlawful sand winners continue to devastate land and crops. Lab FM's Nanaya Ojima returns to the community to witness further destruction caused by the sand winners.
Yanya Tembi breaks from work on his rice farm to find water for himself and 3 wives who have worked for hours under the scorching sun. The farm is located a few meters from the stream, which is a major source of drinking water for the farmers. With his gallon, he cleans the surface of the muddied water and scoops the water. Later, he drinks from his hand.
Me yakuya kurom hade ma 30 years. Enso we na obia sanum wa wo fie npa ba. The
gallon of water is sent to the farm to cater for the thirst of the family. The once clean source of water supply for the farmers is muddied by the invasion of sand winners in the area. The sand winners have created a pathway through the water body to reach lands beyond the stream. Fati Smiler is one of the affected farmers. One end of the stream is completely destroyed and unusable.
This stream you see here flows through Fiano, Dumachi, into the offing. Until now, the people here could drink this water. But after these illegal sand winners got into this place, this is what is left of the river. The people are unable to use it for anything.
Pupils of Odumachi DA Basic, located a few meters from the sand winning site, were forced to drink from this contaminated source. Following an earlier report by Love News, the local assembly moved to fix the challenge the school had with their boreholes. Kwabre South District Chief Executive Christian Edupoku also assured measures will be taken to deal with indiscriminate sand winning activities. After about 2 months, these are some measures adopted to deal with the problem.
We discussed the issues with them and we told them anytime they see those people coming around for sand winning, they should get me informed. I gave them my personal number so that I can track them. Besides that, I met the assembly members and the unit committee members of the town. We have also decided to work around things and make sure that that activity ceases. I have also talked with the Odukro, who is the, if I should put it, the caretaker chief of the place.
A return to the area, however, indicates the situation persists. More than 15 truckloads of sand moved from the area in 1 hour. An excavator sits on farmland digging sand for these vehicles. Checks reveal the new area being excavated was a new planted rice farm. Already, a huge acreage of farms has been destroyed by the activity. Yanya Tembi and his family are victims of the destruction. They have returned to the once degraded farmland, farming a portion which was not affected. But the sand winners are planning a return to the land. Sarah Yanyedi is wife of Yanya. Fatis Maila is struggling to return to farming after a 2,000 cedi investment on a 3-acre land went down the drain due to sand winning activities. The local assembly claims the sand winners have no authorization to undertake the activities. However, a toll booth has been mounted to take levies from the sand winners. The continuous sand winning activities threatens agriculture production as well as clean water for the people in the area. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ochima, Odumechi, Ashanti Region.
You're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Abubeidulansa. Coming up shortly in business, the World Bank says it is concerned about Ghana's increase in debt stock. Darryl Kwao has details in a moment. Do stay.
Hello, welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The World Bank says it is concerned about Ghana's increasing debt stock. The World Bank, together with the IMF, has finalized work on the country's debt situation. The assessment is to establish whether the country has reached the stage where it could struggle to pay back its debt on time. Now, World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte has been speaking with Joy Business.
Situation has reached about 78% the GDP ratio. Yes, it's going on the high side. Ghana, we've said, is a country at risk of high risk of debt distress. But we know it also happened. It was exacerbated by COVID. Before COVID, the ratio was well below 70%. So, yeah, I mean, government has to come back down to a lower deficit level as soon as possible. We know that the fiscal responsibility law was suspended, rightly so. I would have done the same, But as soon as government can come through a lower deficit level, it can start repaying some of the debt. The faster the economy can grow will also help the situation. So, and more stability in terms of commodity prices worldwide will also help cushion against shocks. Revenue is not enough. 12% debt GDP ratio is not good enough for Ghana. I mean, the minister is aware. We discuss all the time. He's recently put in place some measures to raise some revenues, but we believe there are areas like widespread exemptions that the government needs to tackle, and more efficient collection, like through digitalization and other means, should help that.
On our debt sustainability analysis, when are we up for review?
Actually, there's one underway now. It will come out very soon. The bank and the IMF are just finalizing the assumptions and the last picking up the data.
Is it looking good for us?
No, but it will not say very much different from what it is now. I mean, the situation is not going to be much worse, and we all know now. So,
growth projections optimistic?
Yeah, we've seen Ghana seem to be growing faster than the rest of the region and faster than predicted. We're predicting about 4.5% as early as this year and over the medium term.
All right, let's attend to other news for you this morning to do with the KIC. The Cosmos Innovation Center program funded by Cosmos Energy has spent about $6 million as investment into its Agritech challenge to support agribusinesses. This, according to Director Benjamin Jan Kese, was for the duration of the program in the last 5 years. He was speaking to journalists after the company unveiled an advanced version of the challenge known as the Agritech Challenge Pro. Here is a report.
Cosmos Innovation Program is an initiative by Cosmos Energy to support the country's agricultural sector against food security challenges. Director for Cosmos Innovation Center, Benjamin Jan Kese, has disclosed that more than 600 young people have benefited through training, mentorship, and business incubation. He believes that the next season, which is the Agritech Challenge Pro, is expected to bring more SMEs on board. According to him, since the inception of the program in 2016, Cosmos has spent about $6 million to transform small medium enterprises in the agribusiness space.
Beyond 100,000, the two companies that comes into the incubator, they have a mentor who is assigned to them that we call the portfolio manager, who also brings in other experts. They also have free internet, free sitting space, hot lunch every day for 1 to 4 years. Mostly we do not mention that. So in total, over the past 5 years, we have invested well over $6 million in the program, because going around the country recruiting over 120 young entrepreneurs, the other experts that we bring, and the in-house experts, everything together, we have gone a little over $6 million over the past 5 years plus.
Mr. Jan Kese also explains the uniqueness of the new challenge, which is the Agritech Pro.
Now, the Agritech Challenge Pro is slightly different from the original Agritech Challenge, because now we are soliciting for teams with ideas, not individuals with ideas. So you must already have a team being between 3 months to 24 months at maximum. And then you must have an idea that you're already working on and you're looking to go to market. And so those are the group of people that we're looking for. The regular qualification as must be graduate is still there, it's still in force, so you must be graduate, you must be between 20 to maximum 35 years.
And that's your business update. Sports is coming up next.
And this is your home of the Euros. And today, the big one between France and Portugal is on TV and on radio. George Addo Jr. here with Joy Sports.
Yes.
To give us all the details. What time do we join you, George?
All right, so you join us on television, and that's on Joy Prime, and you are joining us from 6 p.m. The game is live at 7 p.m., but we have a fantastic group of pundits. And as you've been following, Stephen Appiah, the ex-Ghana captain, we've got Lai Kingston, we've got Michael Porter, the ex-Bolton FC as well player, and then Nathaniel Ato will be in it. So we've got a big team, we've got a great game for you. France vs Portugal, what is it? It is, you have to brace yourself for a good game. It's a repeat. France
has already qualified.
France has qualified for sure, but it's a repeat of the 2016 final. The two met there. It's the European champions versus the world champions. So this is
That's a big
high
one.
time for heroes.
That's a big one.
And you know the next thing is Ronaldo could be knocked out, and he'll be very careful about how they go about this game. If they lose, they are out of it. 10 teams have qualified at the point, and we're yet to sort out Group E and Group F. So whilst Portugal play against France in Budapest, there's a game between Hungary and Germany. And Germany have also not qualified. So they need to pick something from that game against Hungary. And Hungary as well can qualify. They're able to beat Germany. And then we'll look at the other game the other match, we'll look at the matches in Group E. Spain, Slovakia. That game is live on Joy FM, so we have commentary for you on Spain, Slovakia at 4 p.m. And then later we have the France-Portugal game for you. And then on television, we've got the France-Portugal game for you. A lot of goodies to go alongside. Predict and win available as well. Betway, our title sponsors, are also giving out a microwave. So you're not just watching the game with us, but you're getting to win and you're getting to see some of your great legends alongside.
So on radio, we join you at what?
Radio join us at 3:45 p.m.
3:45 p.m.
Yes, and then on TV you join us at 6 p.m. and then we're going all the way. Whilst all the Euros stuff is ongoing, we remind you that we have the little battle in the Ghana Premier League ongoing. Kumasi Asante Kotoko play match day 30.
It's a super clash.
Yes, in Obuasi, and they are up against Karela United. They hope to win this game. And tomorrow, Accra Hearts will play against Legon Cities. And then on Sunday, we're all at the Crossport Stadium for Heartsburg versus Asante Kotoko.
God, please let Hearts beat Legon Cities and let Kumasi Asante Kotoko lose their game. Don't mind me, I'm just kidding. So that even if Hearts loses to Kotoko, yes. I mean, it'll put us back on, you know.
And I'm sure once you sign out, you see that promo again. Thomas Partey is going to be on our show. I mean, we had a great interview with him, and you can hear the full interview, watch the full interview on the AM show tomorrow, and of course on Prime Morning on Joy Prime.
Thank you very much, George Adu Jr. They're giving us all we need to know about the Euros and the Ghana Premier League. That's how we end today's edition of News Desk. I'm Bernice Abubeidulansad. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. We are also very interactive on Facebook. We are JoyNews on TV, same name. Will find us on Twitter.